guys, this is Angie H, and welcome to Thursday Thoughts Over Tea. This is your weekly dose of tea where we dive right into holistic health, societal issues, and even a platform that gives you that motivation and inspiring thoughts that would help you see the rainbow even in your darkest cloud. So I want you to sit back, grab that cup of tea, and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts Over Tea. I am your host, Angie H. Today I just want to talk about, so we all know the climate of racism. We all have seen the headlines over and over and over again about our African American men being murdered. And it's a stigma that is placed on our men that they should be feared. That they're a danger to society, they're animals, different things like that. And it's not just our men, but it's mostly our men. It's African Americans as a whole. In the Constitution, we are not even considered a whole person. So they treat us as animals. They treat us like we are less than human to them. We're constantly seeing it with the police brutality. We're seeing it day in and day out. And it brings about a fear that even if you follow the rules, even if you surrender, they feel that they're so powerful that they have the power of God, the Creator, to take our lives. And it is very sad. I have a African American husband. I have 3 boys, and I fear for them daily, especially when they become adults and they no longer live in your home where you feel like your cocoon is protecting them, and then they have to face the reality of being Black in America, and your children are not in your home because they have to live their life, and you try not to teach them to live with a fear, but with a awareness. And that brings me to my point today. With everything that they're facing, they're fighting, they're trying to do everything right just so that they can make it from work or make it from school. And it's not that we can blame it all on white society. We have been bred, we have been raised to look at each other as competition. It has been embedded in us to the point that we do it to each other. We kill each other. It's only an uproar when someone outside of our race does it. And it brings me to this conclusion. A lot of times when you're growing up in society or you're growing up in a home of siblings, and I've heard it from many families my whole life, what you do to your sibling is what you can do, but don't let nobody else do it. And and we take that outside of our home. And it's as though we are telling America, I'm going to kill my brother or sister, but you can't. Because when you do, it's a problem. Instead of looking at the fact that it's a problem, period. Where we need to come together. We need to build each other. We're already fighting against the system. We're already fighting against societal issues day in and day out with our skin color as if it's a crime to be this color. And yet and still we come back into the community that's supposed to embrace us, and then we do the same thing. We're killing each other. We're fighting. We're not supporting. We have so much to say about our own kind that it's kind of hypocritical to fight against racism when we're okay with colorism, fighting against ourselves. We can't expect people to understand us or treat us a certain way until we get the heart to serve our brother and sister in the same manner. It's one thing to fight against racism, white America, white supremacy. It's as a unit, because we are protecting each other. And again, it brings me to my point that with all our men are having to face in America amongst their own, we somehow, and oh my gosh, I was so guilty of this, and I am trying to correct this learned behavior, that we even attack men's character and their mental health. We tell men to man up when he showed the least bit of emotion, or he's crying out from frustration and all of this that he has to face daily of being Black in America, as if he does not have PTSD. We tell him, man up. So what does that leave? A man that has bottled up every emotion because he can't display any signs of sensitivity, because he's weak at that point. He's homosexual. He's a crybaby. Whatever it is, when it comes to him trying to pour out the frustrations of his heart, we have so much to say. And I was very guilty of that. With my husband, raising my boys, it was like, man up, don't let them see you sweat, don't let them, and just give them the opportunity to find a balance. And so I took it upon myself. I have purchased, oh my gosh, so many books or whatever. I have so many books that will bring me knowledge, but looking at the current events of today with the murders and the police being called on a bird watcher and things like that, and this racism is picking up even the more, because if men really knew their power, it's always someone outside of the race of that person that know how strong and powerful they are, because they wouldn't be hunting us like dogs. They wouldn't be trying to make us feel less than if we wasn't so powerful in the land. If we didn't display such strength, you wouldn't, because you don't fear what you can control. So what do? You control them with fear. You scare them into submission. And I invested in a book that I have not begun to read, but I know that I will be reading very soon, by Jason Wilson. And it's called Cry Like a Man. And it's just basically teaching, and again, it's probably geared towards men, but as a wife, as a mother of an African American male, let me research and let me read so I can get a better understanding, because I am not a man. I am not a man, so, and I don't want to be in a man role. I want to play my part, but I want to support the men in my life. I don't want them to have to cry out, or this anger builds up inside because nobody will let them get out their frustrations. And so I invested in this book, and it's basically talking about fighting for freedom from emotional incarceration. And I got the book. I was like, I'm gonna read that book. I bought this book months ago. And it's like, what I did was I just bought like a bunch of books that I know that I wanted to read throughout the year. And this is one of them, as well as a book by Malik Muhammad, My Silent Loud. And it's basically everything that he was told as a Black boy that shaped him. All the negativity from your parents, all the negativity from your grandparents, all the negativity from society and different things like that shapes you. What are you supposed to do with this negativity? How are you going to cry like a man? Like, these are the books that I invested in. And then I realized that it's time for me to pick these up, because what I want us women to understand, that they need emotional support too. We want them to give us every emotional need there is. We want them to be vulnerable when we want them to be, but when they need to be, we call them out of their names, and we try to emasculate them. You need to man up, you weak, and then we try to run over them and control them because now I see that you're a little bit emotional or you're vulnerable in a sense. So now I'm going to manipulate that for the benefit of me. We really need to get to a place where we're supporting in our environment. We're producing environments that gives them that space to release, because they're battling just by walking outside. From day to day in this climate, we don't know what phone call we will receive. We don't know if our men will make it home, our sons, our fathers, our grandfathers. We don't know if they will make it back to us day in and day out. A quick run to the corner store to grab something, the grocery store, the Walmart. We don't know if that's going to turn into the last time we see them, but yet we're not even producing a safe haven in their homes where they can be emotionally vulnerable and emotionally release themselves unto us, because now we have them feeling as though they're weak and less than a man because they needed to share themselves emotionally. So what do? They bottle it up and they man up, because that's what they have been taught. That is what we tell them. That is what we constantly remind them. You soft. You're a little bit too soft. So in this climate of today, we have to open up those spaces and opportunities for these men to not have to fight against the ones that's supposed to love them, on top of the strangers in the community that has something to say, because that's how we were bred, to fight against each other and not with each other. I mean, every time that we stand and we fight with each other and we become unified, they try to disassemble or they bomb it. Black Wall Street, Black Panther Party, those things like that anything that solidifies the unity of Black America will be disassembled and destroyed. And we let it happen. We don't push back. We don't fight back. And I know that it comes with the fight or flight. I'm going to submit to whatever is in front of me because I want to save my life. And I totally get it, because you want to protect you and yours. But what are we going to do next? What are we going to do to ensure that that our homes are a safety place? Like, you can't be abused in the street and then come home and be abused for wanting to show your frustration of the abuse that you take day in and day out as an African American male. And women, it is starting to pick up for us. They're killing us. And because they have to continue to paint a picture of how we are monsters, they will dig up the littlest thing in your past to justify why you needed to be murdered, and that they did society a favor by removing you from the earth. So now we got to focus even harder to keep our Black males out of trouble, out of jail, not falling into the societal traps that they have conveniently set for us to paint that picture so vividly, so that they can justify when they kill us. So older men that see the grave and the jail, what are you doing, or what are we doing as a society to make sure that the generations that come after us do not fall into that same trap? Because now we're giving them ammunition. That's why they wait to release statements, because first, let me see who we killed so we can justify the murder. We give them ammunition because nobody is sitting, because they have to be hard. Then you have this music from these people that are entertainers, and we get so caught up in the entertainer that we don't even know his real life. Like, they're not even teaching their own children what you teaching yours. Drugs and murder and sex. They're sending their kids to college off of your dime because you supporting the music. You're buying the music. It's no empowerment in the music. They're empowering you to do something that they wouldn't even allow their own children to do. They're building brands. Their children building brands. Their children's future is solidified because it sells, and because that is what our mentality is now. Quick, fast money. And the one that wants to drop knowledge, you're a little bit too woke. Whatever, people like that are talked about. So, when the smoke clears, are you going back to normal? Or are you going to try to solidify change, even if it starts in your own pond? Even if it starts in your own home? What are you doing to prepare and to get an understanding? Because we sit with our kids. My husband sits with our kids. Hey, this is what you do when you get stopped. This is what happened. Follow all rules. Do not get caught up in the system. Be very mindful of who you hang around. Do what you can. It's not good to have a record because it will be used against you. Different things like that. And it's sad that we have to have these conversations, but they need to be had. They need to know that it is safe. When we need to let them know that it's safe to release that frustration and emotion. I don't want my son to see me cry. I don't want my son to feel like that he's a weak man. So I'd rather be imprisoned by my emotions and my frustration before I let my son and my grandson and my nephews see me out here weak. You're killing yourself. Mentally and physically. All these things play a part in your overall health. You being hard for people that have been bred to hate you, even though you share the same skin color. So who are you proving yourself to? Don't create toxic environments within your own community and within your own home so that they can feel comfortable. So I just wanted to share the things that I was doing as an African American female to try to create an environment where my men could feel a little bit safer in releasing their frustration. It's going to take more than one person to create a change. It's going to take a community of solid and unified people. The best way to hit someone where it hurts is in their pockets. Let's take this COVID pandemic as an example. It's not that it was safe for the world to open up. It's because they lost money. They didn't have the revenue, and they don't have the revenue. So they rather risk your life in order for the dollar. So imagine if African Americans became professional. Whatever they chose to sell, create, and then you unified and you only put that dollar into the African American community. Then you take that dollar and you build everything that we need. Again, we've seen it on Black Wall Street. It's going to come with some pushback. It's going to come with them trying to destroy it. Because it's about the dollar. It's not about us. But at some point, the marching and the protesting has to go for white America and Black America, because we're killing each other just as fast. So that's my thought for today. That's my personal take. You may agree, you may not agree. You may think that I missed something or I didn't read. I'm not reading into everything, but this is just my personal take on what has happened now in today's climate, and how important it is for men to have a place where they can release, because they're already fighting against the world just because their skin color is a threat to society. Well, racism, at least. So thank you for joining me, and tune in right after this break for the 365 moment. So you just planned the event of the century. Everything is in its place. You have one more thing to check off that to-do list: decorations. But you really don't want to break the bank and buy every chair cover and sash and tablecloth that you need. So why not contact Michelle at Selections Entertainment for all of your rental needs. She has from traditional to elegant, anything that you need to make your event the event of the year. So you should contact her at selectionsentertainment.com, www.selectionsent.com. Why buy it when you can rent it at affordable prices? Welcome back to Thursday Thoughts Over Tea and our Black Excellence 365 moment, the Black Panther Party. We've learned about them, you briefly learned about them in history class, but I just wanted to just bring it up again, who they were. We were taught that they were some type of, extremist vigilante group or whatever, but we don't quite hear exactly why it was started. And in today's climate, we understand that times have not changed. We're still facing murder at the hands of police officers, police brutality. We're still facing that, which was why the Black Panther Party was created to begin with. The Black Panther Party was a self-defense. It was revolutionary socialist political organization founded by college students Bobby Seale and Huey Newton. And what we know about the Black Panther Party is, they created the free lunch program for children to ensure that they eat. We know that they protect the communities in their neighborhoods against this injustice. They also wanted to make it a point that African Americans had that right to bear arms as protection. Their membership exceeded 2,000, and the organization operated in different chapters in several major American cities. It was from 1966, and it ceased in 1982. The thing that I did not know was the black leather jacket, the afros, and the berets were the unofficial uniform of the Black Panther Party. They were again established in 60 community. They established 60 community assistant programs, including medical service, free clothing, shoes, legal aid, and a Head Start. We get such a small history of what the Black Panthers did, but 60 community assistance programs. So where we were taught that they were destroying the community and different things like that, they were actually in place, unified, trying to build the community so that the community could depend on each other. The average age of the Panthers, they were around 20 years old, because Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton, they were college students, so they were kind of young. The African Americans living throughout North America continue to suffer economic and social inequalities, poverty, and reduced public service in the urban centers. They were subject to poor living conditions, jobless, chronic health problems, violence, and they didn't have the means to change the circumstance. And that is when the Black Panther Party was created, to be able to help with some of these inequalities and injustices and the environment that they lived in was not conducive to their growth. So that is why they created it. So that's just a little bit of information. We already knew this, but with today's climate and everything with the murders and the injustice and the police brutality, it's being filmed more. Will Smith said it's not that it's new, it's just being filmed. So just think about that as we go forth. What kind of community things can we do to help our own people as we face this injustice, as we face and fight America? Thank you for tuning in to Thursday Thoughts Over Tea. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you feel so inclined, please subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple, TuneIn, and wherever you get your awesome podcasts, and also on Anchor FM. So remember, we're here every Thursday for some much needed chit chat over your hot cup of tea.